Great rep on the volleyball. Oh, man, it's so fun. So it's a lot of fun. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. You want to take a quick picture? Yeah. Yeah. And then you can say something to the Parks Commission. They're nice people. That's happening there. Thanks for your advice.
No, you have to take a couple of.
Okay.
More.
Thank you so much. You want to say something if you want to? Congratulations again. That's good.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
That it?
Yep. First of all, I'd like to thank, everyone for the award. And I also like to thank Kevin and Jessica for the recognition and for their kind words. It means a lot. Kevin and Jessica are both new to our team, as Jessica mentioned, but it's clear they're both strong leaders and they've hit the ground running with all of our programs. For me, in my 3 years, I've had, other great managers who have been very supportive and helpful to me. And for me personally, that's what makes the city of San Ramon such a great place to work. I enjoy being able to share my passion and joy of sports and serving the community with all demographics. And I think in my role, it's very exciting because I might touch seniors within the open gym badminton community, adults, obviously, throughout all of our adult offerings, down to our 3 and 4 year old, little dribblers who are getting their first exposure to basketball. So it's really kind of a unique experience and something that I really enjoy and I'm grateful for. I look forward to continuing growing and making more contributions within the city. And again, I'd like to thank you guys all for the award. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to public comment. Members of the audience are encouraged to address the Parks and Community Service Commission on any non-agenda items related to the business of the Parks and Community Services Commission. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker, and the time cannot be transferred. All remarks shall be addressed to the Parks and Community Service Commission. You can also submit written comments by email it's in here if you want to see it. Emails will not be read aloud. However, they will be forwarded to the Parks and Community Service Commission for their consideration. No action can be taken on issues raised during the public comment period. During public comment, members of the public are permitted to address the Parks and Community Services on items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item or items. Please note that the decision to remove the item from the consent calendar is strictly at the discretion of the Parks and Community Service Commission. And items, sorry about that. Items that are not on the agenda are within the Parks and Community Services jurisdiction. So after that, do we have any public comment?
We sure do. Mr. Herman Whelm.
All right, welcome. Glad you're here. If you could speak in the mic, that'd be totally awesome. Appreciate it. And for 1 second, I don't know if it's turned on yet. So, yeah, you'll get it. You'll get a restart. Yeah. And give him 1 second. Can we reset the clock, Kathy? Thanks, Herman. It's a new system.
Yeah. Herman Whelm, been a resident of San Ramon since 1978. Was very involved in the early years of San Ramon, served as the first chair of the planning commission of the city, and then later went on to the city council for 8 years. Back in those days, we started off with virtually no real policy. Everything was sort of done on the fly. And this is one of the things I want to address. There's a bug that's been bugging me all these decades, and it's time, I think, to fix it. Yeah, we had at the first Parks Commission that they organized during the course of, I believe, the first term of that Parks Commission, a young lady commissioner died. And in the throes of sympathy and feeling in the moment and all of that, they decided to name something after her. And they named the art gallery in the city center, Lindsay Dirks Brown Art Gallery. That was all done within, shall we say, a month or two, three, maybe, with no policy in place. When I got on the city council, that bugged me. It really bugged me that somebody we could name something so quickly while everybody's in the throes of sympathy for the family. By the way, her family moved out very shortly after her death. So anyway, it bugged me on the city council when I got to city council, and we started a program and pushed for this, to the naming protocol be a little bit more organized and not be spontaneous, and that there be a delay between the demise of any one of you and naming something after you, because there's a cycle of grief, and it has to work itself out. So I'm proposing that the Parks Department Commission look into unnaming that art gallery and turning it into, or having it join all the other art galleries in San Ramon, which are named after the building that they're in. Right now, if you were to Google her name, you're going to find nothing but reference to the art gallery. There's no record of her. I don't know I never knew her. I think I saw her once in those days. But I think the time has come to sort of bite the bullet and say, let's right this, shall we say, it's not a wrong in that sense, but let's correct this spontaneous error that I think was made back then.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Okay, any other public comment?
There's not.
Okay, thank you so much. Since there's no other public comment, we will move on to commission business. The first commission business is minutes of the Parks and Recreation Commissions. And all we're looking for is, first of all, did everyone have a chance to review them before we make a motion? I'm gonna rush into it. And just a reminder, as we make motions tonight, please do them slowly and so they can be captured, and we'll use the system. We'll take our time. All right. So is there a motion to pass the minutes?
So move.
That was perfect on speed.
Second that.
Okay, it was moved by Commissioner Dorlick, second by Commissioner Partham.
Mitra?
Okay,
All right.
any discussion? Sorry, I meant Mitra. Any discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote, which will be great.
We e-vote? Yes.
Yeah, where it says e-vote.
And make sure you save your vote.
There's no ongoing. vote
There's
that
no
you-
ongoing vote you can cast. That's what it's.
There's
Well,
no,
It doesn't like it.
You said it to me and I thought that was but I don't see it, but that's about it too.
I hit that.
All right,
hold on, it's a me thing.
we'll learn through it.
Okay.
I didn't see anything.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
It was a Kathy thing.
True.
All right. And so we passed. Ready.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's different.
All right, motion passed 6-0 with one abstention.
Chevron ceremony again.
What's that? Okay. All right, motion
Okay.
passes. We'll keep moving on. Okay, thank you guys so much. The next topic is this San Ramon Trails Master Plan. And hang on, let me skip to that really quick. What we're being asked to do, the Parks and Community Service Commission should approve the San Ramon Trails Master Plan and recommend it to be forwarded to the City Council for final approval. That's the action that we're being asked to take. We're also being asked to, watch for the what's. We'll follow the same process as we go through, but that's the action we're trying to take. I Keith will be leading us through the conversation. So welcome, Keith. We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, Chair Breed and Commissioners. Tonight, I am pleased to present the San Ramon Trails Master Plan and introduce Emily Carpenter from Design Workshop, who will walk the Commission through what has taken place since we presented the initial recommendations in November of 2025. The Trails Master Plan is before you tonight for the Commission to approve and recommend it be forwarded to the City Council for final approval. The plan you are seeing this evening is the result of many months of collaboration between Design Workshop and city staff. Throughout the process, we worked to ensure the plan reflects the priorities of the community and their vision for the trail system in San Ramon. That work included a number of outreach opportunities and technical reviews, including a public survey, community meetings, stakeholder meetings, coordination with adjacent agencies, and a review of relevant plans and policy documents from the city, the county, and East Bay Regional Park District, as well as plans related to the Iron Horse Regional Trail and the Walking District. The result is a master plan with a comprehensive list of recommendations or opportunities for the city that positions the city of San Ramon to establish an ideal and well-connected trail system that supports recreation, connectivity, and access to open space. It is important to note, though, that the plan focuses on what could or should be done, not necessarily how to get the recommendations completed. While the plan outlines many exciting opportunities, not every recommendation is a shovel-ready project. In fact, many, if not most, will require additional steps and work, such as securing or modifying easements, coordinating with HOAs, partnering with external agencies, identifying funding sources, and completing future design and environmental reviews. This plan is intended to serve as a long-term framework to guide future efforts and help the city of San Ramon prioritize trail investments for years to come. With that, I'll turn it over to Emily from Design Workshop to walk you through the Trails Master Plan for your consideration.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you, Keith. My name's Emily. I'm a designer and planner at Design Workshop. I'm really excited to be here today and share with you the progress that we've made since the November meeting. We're really appreciative to all of you for your feedback at that time. So since then, if you'll direct your attention to your screens, we have developed prioritization criteria, which then became a prioritization matrix listing the capital improvement projects. We also developed trail design guidelines and mitigation strategies, and we included funding opportunities as well. In the master plan right now, you'll see potential trail alignments. Those would be further refined through the design and construction process and with some additional input from the community. That draft with all of that new information was then posted online and distributed among city departments. So we got input from the transportation planning, traffic and engineering departments, as well as the GAD manager and the public. And then we updated the document based on all of that. Really great feedback. So going back to the beginning, the need for this plan was established in the general plan. Not only do trails serve recreation purposes, but they can also help meet other city goals, such as vehicle miles traveled, reductions, air quality improvement, and the like. So early in the planning process, we reviewed these previous plans to learn how the plan could support and build upon the previous efforts. And then previous plan alignment was also included in our prioritization criteria. So to determine which project should move forward first, we asked ourselves a series of questions, such as, is there funding for the project? If not, are there opportunities in the future that we've identified for funding? Can it be completed easily? So do we need to get easements? Are there hurdles that we would have to overcome to implement? Does it support the city's long-term goals? Does it address stakeholder priorities? And then also, does it meet the community's vision for the trails plan. Sorry, the microphone makes me nervous.
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
The only reason why is because people are listening online so they can hear you. That's why.
Oh, yeah, no, it's okay. Sorry.
Great.
Thank you. So the plan's final recommendations were heavily rooted in feedback from the community. Many of us know the plan will not be successful if it doesn't have community support. So we really took every opportunity that we could to gather input. So that included online surveys, in-person meetings with stakeholders. We tabled at events. We posted signage where improvements were most likely to happen with QR codes to get people to provide input there. And then the city's website and the project story map were updated regularly just to be really transparent throughout the whole process. With more than 800 survey responses, 93% of which were from residents of San Ramon, we were really impressed with all of the feedback that we got. We don't always hear so much from the community, so we were really appreciative for that. What we heard, we asked a lot of questions and got a lot of takeaways, but just what we want to share with you today. Number one, are trails even important to the people of San Ramon? What we heard, as you can see on the left there, is that yes, absolutely, trails are crucial to the quality of life and yeah, just what makes San Ramon so special. Then we asked, what types of experiences do you want? What types of trails? And as you can see, all 4 of the top responses had to do with connections and creating connections, not only within the community, but to external open spaces. So connectivity was key in developing this plan. And then also we saw that while people do want all types of trails, those natural surface kind of wide multi-user trails were the most enticing. And then as we developed the master plan, we kind of used that feedback as a checklist as we went through our projects. So we were asking ourselves, are we creating connections from neighborhoods to trails and open space? Are we creating connections to external open spaces? Are we connecting the existing parks? And so on. So here you can see this is kind of a simplified version of all the project descriptions. And we've highlighted, we just want to share some of the high priority projects. These haven't changed a lot since the November meeting. So those are highlighted here, but we also have a map to share those with you. So first and foremost, the projects that rose, to the top of the list were at Old Ranch Park. So trailhead connections to the community and senior center, and then also connection to Dublin Hills open space trail. I forget the trail name, but yeah, external connections. These were high on the priority list because it's on city-owned land and they also meet a lot of stakeholder and community goals. Secondly, we have a trailhead at Forest Home Farms. Then there are some improvements up in the Faria Preserve area, which would not only create loop trails for exercise and recreation, but also connect to Las Trampas and provide some community connectivity. Iron Horse Trail is obviously on everyone's mind. It's a really popular corridor that exists today, but it sounds like it's doing its job really well. We don't need a lot more paved trails, but there are definitely opportunities to improve the experience. And then also to get people from either the street network or those off-street trails to the Iron Horse Trail. And then finally, a connection to Tassajara Ridge down on that southwest or southeast side. Again, easy to implement and meets a lot of the stakeholder goals. So that kind of wraps up the updates that we have made to the master plan. And upon getting a thumbs up from all of you, we will be presenting to City Council for adoption on April 14th. And then upon approval, we can turn over the story map to the city staff. As you guys begin to implement those projects, that was a really useful tool for us to get input and keep people updated on the process. And then obviously continued collaboration with external agencies as we move forward. Thank you all for your time and input.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Hey, good job, by the way.
Thank you.
You did good. Thank you so
On the
much.
Podium.
Hey, we're gonna, what we're gonna do is we're gonna ask questions.
Go for it.
And then, after questions, we'll do some comments. So
Great.
you and Keith can determine can answer the questions. Okay, so we'll start with anyone who has questions. Yeah, let's try this out. Let's see if Steve can figure it out. So it says request. What's that?
Physical hand raise.
I love the hand raise method. All right, any questions on this side? Go, Julia.
Thank you, Emily. This
Yeah.
document is amazing and it's so nice to see it all pulled together. Question, and this might be better for Keith. Curious about, can you explain the Friends of? Kind of, because I noticed that that is used throughout the document, to kind of maybe accelerate fundraising or maybe looking at it like a foundation. I just want to know a little bit more about what the Friends of is, kind of what the vision is of that.
So there is no necessarily vision. There are possibilities of what a friends group could be. That could be simply a group, for instance, just like Crocanian Gardens. There's a group that goes out and cleans up the gardens. There's Park Make Life Better days where groups of, people can sign up and go clean up a park. It could be just a group that is dedicated to cleaning up trails or maintaining dirt trails. It could be helping raise money for the next project. It could be a lot of things that the staff can look into, figure out what is best, figure out where the city needs to go and how to manage that group so that it benefits both the city, the plan, and then obviously the community at large. So there is not a necessarily set vision for it at this time.
Okay, thank you. There was Project G5, which is the general 5, and it's important, but it's a low priority. So I was just curious what
So,
that would
so we do currently have signage on the trails. There is, if you remember, roughly 4 years ago, we signed an agreement with Smart Outdoor. There is one year to go on that one. I have a conversation with them tomorrow. So that has not fallen off. The signage has not fallen off. We are at a point of reducing or phasing that project with Smart Outdoor. Well, for those that don't know, it was a system-wide trails signage wayfinding program that was going to be coordinated through Smart Outdoor, who signed an agreement with the city to have exclusive rights to find a sponsor in order to provide the signage. Once the signage was out there, the city received X percentage of funding of net revenue that would then come back to maintaining, funding new construction, or programming the trail. So that's what Smart Outdoor is. They have one more year on that agreement. We are in conversations right now, like I said, tomorrow, both on the trail sign to phase that project, in which we would be looking at the trailheads and access points first. And then they are also still working on a mobile app that the city would be involved with as well.
Good.
And part of the conversation is they will be providing to us an option. So we have asked what it would cost to purchase the signage up front. And then we worry about the sponsor. They worry about the sponsorship after the fact. So just looking at the full options, knowing that this is a priority and has been for the last 4 years, we're looking at different ways to approach that.
Another question I had, and it's somewhat touched on in here, but how are we going to manage all these master plans? And how is that going to be? Are we going to have one person on staff that's going to be trying to connect all the dots?
If I may on that one, I think all of the master plans within the department will be handled by the department as a whole. So all under my umbrella. And we will have different staff and all staff kind of looking at that and ensuring they connect. So if we're looking at different programming, these are our guiding documents. Therefore, they were going to kind of just flow and integrate into all things that we do. So I think the easiest way to say is we got it, and we're going to integrate it throughout all the things we do, especially programming and CIPs and other projects. So it's one and the same. Yes, they're a lot, but they're actually very connected. So much so that it's gonna it will flow for us to keep account to it and then share that information with you folks as well.
I've got some feedback, but those are my questions.
Okay, Commissioner Shetty, any questions?
Thank you for the detailed plan. It took me a while. I must say it's better than the multi-million project at office, very well put together. And I learned a lot. So I'll ask the question based on best of my ability. So pardon me if some of the questions sound stupid. So there is one it's specific. First of all, that the how we approach, that's very impressive. The survey and with 6 partners and all those awesome. I think right way to do it. And I saw our director's picture too, talking to the community. So there's evidence too. So I think some of the we mentioned in the plan that we are going to have a easier approach to the park, and that means we need to negotiate with some of the HOAs and GATs and all that, right? But I'm assuming that may be it will take a lot of time, right? So what's the risk involved in it?
What is the risk involved?
Yeah, meaning the project may get derailed, because HOA don't have to even agree.
Correct. And that is, we have to keep in mind that this is the ideal picture. If this was built out, this is what ideally would happen. Can roadblocks, can speed bumps happen? Absolutely. For instance, the loop trails in Tassajara Valley off of Tassajara Ridge. Currently, there is a conservation easement on that land. If for some reason that conservation easement cannot be amended, or we cannot find a way to work within the requirements of the easement, some of those loop trails may never happen. So there are potentials that the ideal trail network won't actually come to fruition. For instance, like you've mentioned, HOAs. HOA, it sounds like a great idea, and some members of an HOA would be like, yes, we would absolutely love a trail leading to Memorial Park, but not in our backyard. Exactly. So they could say that, right? But we could work with them over time. People come and go, they sell houses, new members come into the community. Just because we try once doesn't mean we can't try it again a handful of years down the road. Because there are really good ideas within the plan that it takes time.
Absolutely. And one more question there, and then after that, I'll ask my last question. What is the time frame when we say short term and medium term? I might have missed it. What's the time frame we are looking at? Like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year?
So this plan looks out to like a 20-year range. And so you'll see in the capital improvements projects, when you look at the document up on the top right, there's a little blue box. So short term would be 0 to 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Mid-term is 6 to 10, and then long term would be that kind of like 10 to 20-year timeline.
Got it. Okay, it's here. I was wondering, I was looking whether in the footnote, and obviously I missed that. And last question, then I'll pass it to the fellow commissioners. You have put together very nicely approximate cost for each project. Obviously, that's important. And again, I'm not sure if I missed it, but what I did not see is approximate ongoing maintenance cost, if that complete. Because let me tell you why I'm asking, because right now we have that Measure N money coming up, because this plan will run all the way till 2040 and all those things. assuming the measure and that additional tax revenue don't get renewed. So that means there is a direct impact on the city. So any plans or explanation on that?
Yeah, so we do have in that same matrix, the column on the far right talks about operational and staffing considerations. So if there is a number that we could put to it, then we did, but you know, sometimes it's,
I see, yeah,
Just
because I did not
background.
see the
Mhm.
absolute number, so
Yeah.
maybe I'm a little lazy to calculate that, so. But thank you.
And then obviously, as projects come forward, we would, Parks and Community Service or whoever's responsible for the project would be working with Public Services and looking at that extended cost. Does it make sense at this time to do the project, knowing that there's going to be ongoing maintenance? Does it need to be pushed out? Is this something that we can find grant money for or outside funding? We may have a resident that passes away and leaves us $10 million and for ongoing trail maintenance.
Yeah.
And we just don't know when that would happen, right? So
Got it.
anything can happen, but that would all be obviously considerations before one department does a project without talking to the other one.
Got it. Thank you.
Any additional questions on this side? Vice Chair Levy,
Very good. Thank you.
thank you.
No, great work on this. I know that this is a incredibly complicated document to have to put together and the product of hundreds, if not thousands of hours of effort. So I definitely am appreciative of that. So a couple of quick questions. I guess maybe it would be helpful if you kind of stated who the real intended audience for this kind of document is. I mean, obviously, this is a public meeting right now. We're discussing it in public. It'll be posted presumably on the city website after it gets adopted for the public to look at. But is it really intended to explain the purpose of the Trails Master Plan to the public, or is it more intended to provide guidance to decision makers and to staff and to provide supporting documentation for, grant applications and stuff like that down the road? So can you speak to that at all?
Henry, do you want to?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think, honestly, I think it's both. There is an element in here. If someone were to look at the document, if the public were to look at it, they know what the process was to get to this. But at the end of the day, yes, it's going to be, like I mentioned earlier, it's a guiding document, not only for staff, but for the commission and council when we look at how these projects come about and come to fruition. So the intended audience is all of us with that backup that's in there to show the history of it.
Okay. No, that's helpful. Thank you. So that kind of leads into my next question. Is this plan kind of considered a prerequisite to move to the design phase on any of the recommendations that are listed in it? Or has any of that work already kind of happened?
So this document came to fruition from one of our efforts to formalize a social trail, which it got public comment in front of this body, which then halted that effort. That was the catalyst for this document or this plan, essentially.
Okay.
Now that we have this and we have the community feedback, we feel confident that moving forward, we have heard the public. We may still have to work and notify public and what we're doing and how this is going to be and letting the public know that we're bringing it back to commission and this is where we would like to go. So we may still hear from the public, but yes, this is the document that we would point to that say the community has spoken at this point.
Okay. That makes sense too. And then at the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned that most of the recommendations in here were not shovel ready, which makes perfect sense. But most implies that at least some of them might be. And is it fair to say that the ones that are high up in that prioritization matrix? Because it's not entirely clear to me from the reading where they kind of fall. So can you speak to that at all?
Let's see. Oh, perfect.
Here, these are the high priority projects.
Right. And so there's conceptual and then obviously there's shovel ready. So I think we have concepts for a lot of the projects. Formalizing the construction or actual design still would need to happen. For instance, it sounds like a trailhead at Faria Farms sounds really simple. You put up a trail map, you put another opening and a fence, but we do have an easement with a landowner that we have to work with, right? So the concept seems pretty straightforward. but there is details that has to go in. What does the trailhead look like? Right? So there's still that conception or design work that would have to be done. For instance, Iron Horse Trail, creating new access points. There are new housing developments going along Iron Horse. We just saw a plan from planning just the other day that has 3 new access points that the city has nothing even to do with. It's developers making it happen. So we can almost already check off to some degree that one's happening. I can let the commission know that we are putting forward a couple projects in the next CIP at least to be considered. And that would be Old Ranch Park, formalizing entrances to the open space from Old Ranch Park, as well as the senior center, as well as connecting those on trails that are actually usable and not straight up a hill. And then as well as south to the Dublin border, that is one project that we are putting forward. We have the preliminary trail alignments that is what we would use initially. And then we would have to look at who is actually going to do that work. For instance, years ago when we were going to do the formalizing of the social trail, we were working with East Bay Trail Dogs, which was actually Save Mountain Diablo's group. They were going to come out and do it free of cost because they love trails and they do special projects. That is something that we could still work. That is still an option to do. And then they would help us formalize not necessarily the design of the trail. We would say, hey, we want it 4 feet wide, 3 feet wide. And then they would help cut the trail. So again, but the design and actual construction of it still would have to be finalized. And there is CEQA, right, and there is CEQA. So for anything, and CEQA is just environmental assessment, making sure that we are not impacting any wildlife or the foliage or anything like that. So obviously that still all would have to be done as well on any of these projects.
Okay, now I appreciate the specific examples you just provided. That kind of makes it a lot clearer kind of where things are and what you have in mind to prioritize. The very last question I had was about the GADs that are mentioned throughout this document. So just to kind of clarify, is that the GAD dealing with the other property owners that it has easements with, or is because the GAD is, the city? Would this be the city coordinating with itself or using its GAD authority with, other?
So there are external agencies that hold the conservation easements. The city or the GAD does not hold the conservation easements. And those easements were developed through the county development of that land, which then the easements, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are through the state. And so there's other agencies that are definitely going to have to be involved in that aspect.
Okay.
With regards to FARIA, those trails should be handed over from the developer to, what is it, the Northwest GAD, I guess is what it's officially called right now, within the next few months. At that point, those trails would be formalized, potentially named, a trailhead, we can then start considering that. East Bay Regional Parks will be extending the trail from their trailhead that was put in at FARIA to Los Trompos. So there is things like in the motion, and we will be able to see that happening, and we have to do very little because it's already in motion.
Okay, no, that's helpful. Thank you. Those are the questions I had.
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair Levy. Any questions on Commissioner Mitra?
Thank you, Keith and Emily. Really good job on the report as well as the presentation, Emily. That was really good.
Yeah, oh, the way you turn the microphone on.
Oh, okay, all right, but you heard it. All right, okay. Couple of questions. I was looking at, you correctly identified that the 4 top requests from the feedbacks are on connections, right? I was just wondering, why so? Is there something that we missed earlier? Is it something that we were not aware of? I mean, it's good to have that we have everything in the one bucket so we can focus on good. That's good. But at the same time, is this something that we did not pay attention to earlier, or it missed, or didn't plan for it?
No, I don't think so. This was heavily based on community feedback. So we asked the question, what improvements do you think are most needed for the trail system?
Right.
And all 4 of those top responses were that connections were important. I don't know that that necessarily means that the connections don't exist, but that the community is just looking for more of them to be able to use this network almost as like a commuter network to be able to get from place to place, not just for recreation. And that sometimes is just a shift in the mentality of, the community, or maybe people have e-bikes now and they can make it further. And so they're looking for those connections. Does that answer your question? Kind of.
Yeah. I was just, again, I don't know if there is a right answer or not for this question, but it just came to mind when I was going through this document. I was like, okay, why so? I mean, there are people that are 824 responses, right? All of them are highlighting this. This means what? What does that means to us?
Right.
If I could, to add, I mean, I think what we're hearing is what we've heard in some of these others, and we didn't miss anything. I think part of our problem as a city was a lot of these trails organically happened, and they happened in sections. And that's what we're trying to do with this document, is kind of formalize it and bring all those trails as one, as the city trails. And so the best example I can give is, the west side San Ramon was developed and that was happening. And then when the east side of San Ramon, or Doherty, was being developed, those trails were happening, and there wasn't, that was through the county, and there wasn't a governing body kind of over that. So I don't know that I wouldn't say it was missed. I just think it wasn't a focus of this community until now. And we really heard it was a focus through our master plan process, which then got us here today. And that's what we're trying to do with this document, is now capitalize on that and put together a document that will support what we're hearing from the community and what the community wants to do. And one of that major things is connectivity, which we hear time and time again. And so now this is a tool that gives us that opportunity to be connected, but I don't think anybody intentionally missed it. I just think, and half these trails are organic, like people go out and, I didn't know there was a trail. Well, Webb and Hawk, why can that trail for 5 years? And it just happened to take place with the development of this community.
That is exactly what I was thinking as well. So probably this trails was built over time.
Correct.
Not like in a plan, but as you said, rightly use the word organically. Somebody just started doing that, right? But at some point when people started using them, they said, hey, how can I from here to how can I go there? Where is my connections like that? So probably there's that.
Right. And I think now that we've seen San Ramon develop into what it is, you see those connectivity, you see that need for connection now that we have developed. And you wouldn't have seen that before until these neighborhoods happen and the schools get into place. And, oh, my kid wants to walk to school. I need to connect that trail to get him to there, or they want to go down to City Center. Wouldn't that be amazing if I can connect them to the Iron Horse Trail? And now we have this need for connectivity and how to build out the trails. And this is one of the major reasons why we did this. So we have this supporting document to do some of this, where we could go get approval and it would be like, well, where's the support? Well, now we have the support.
Yeah, so to go back, if you look at the documentations that were submitted by the developers, so it's easy to speak to Doherty Valley, right? Because that's where the majority of our trails are. Each of those developers was responsible for the trails in their section of Doherty Valley. Right. That doesn't mean the different developers spoke to each other, or we would even have to go back to them and say, well, what was the public input? Was there any, or did you just call the Ranch Road the trail, which in many instances they did, right? For instance, the naming of the trails by the developers. I've asked, how did that happen? Somebody sat in a room one day and said, these sound like good names. Literally, that is what I was told by the county. So it doesn't mean, to Brad's point, we didn't miss anything, but the city was not involved from ground zero. So that is a large part. And now we are, because they've been turned over to us, or they're part of the GAD, which then obviously we're managing the trails. Now we are stepping in and saying, okay, well, now what does the community really need or want?
But the good point is that people are using those trails
Correct.
because they're asking the connection. That means they're using now and saying, okay, I'm using this. I want to go there. How do I go there?
Absolutely.
So which is a
And we have had former GAD managers that have worked endlessly with PG&E, the developers, to gain access
Right.
for more east-west connections.
Right.
But to Chair, our Commissioner Shetty's question over here, it takes time,
Right.
and it has to be the right conversation at the right time with the right person. And so those are the conversations that are still happening.
Another one question I have about the funding. I don't know who can answer this, but funding wise, how do we look like? So we have high priority, we have medium priority, different things on that, and we have master plan based on master plan priorities as well. The people asking for this. And then I see different funding opportunities that we talked about, Measure N, general funds, and all those things on that. So, and some of them are shovel ready, some of them are not, some of them, all those. So it's a mix of things, right? So funding wise, if something is ready, are we ready for that? And again, I know it's an open-ended question, Henry.
Yeah, no, that you're 100% correct. It is an open-ended question, in the sense of it depends. It depends on what the project is. It depends on the timing that it comes about, and it depends on what may be available to us for that particular project. So as we do with all of them, we will take the time to, whether it be a specific CIP project and go through the annual process with the budget, or if for some reason there are some funds that come available through grants that we will always be looking for. It really just depends. So we won't do anything until we have the money, but we will move forward intentionally, and we will continue to look for the funding sources for these things as we move on. And it'll be one of the things that, at the end of the day, the council will also decide on that one.
Absolutely.
So that's a part of the priority. If we get this, then we may not get that.
No. So just a follow-up question. Again, I think you are answering it right. But the question is, if something comes out, council said, yes, go ahead for this one. This is a high priority. Everybody wants it on that. I mean, I just want to make sure that we also have the funding available, right?
Yeah. Well, we won't get the heads up and the okay unless the funding is available. So I think it's
So funding is a priority to get the approval.
at the end of the day, the question is going to ask,
It has
how
to
are
be.
we going to fund it? So show me the money.
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
So whenever we push it for a particular one, high priority one, we push it the funding availability, funding sources as well. And then this is available, then only, you know what I'm saying? That
Yeah,
the
no.
whole thing goes through with the funding.
It will all go through the process for any, again, the document is the what. This is what we're going to look for. The how gets done at each step of the way with each project. So that will be part of the process prior to as we move forward, is ensuring that, some funding sources available to us.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, any additional questions on this side? You guys good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, use your hand.
Oh, I got to raise my.
Yeah, you got to raise your hand.
I thought you were just going to ask me like, yeah.
No, no,
everybody
okay.
else. Okay.
Commissioner Dorlick, you're up.
I mean, so as with any survey, most of the participants that answer have a vested interest in, the topic. When you ask a survey about who you want to see at Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center, you probably don't get a lot of people that are talking about the trails. You get a lot of people that are in the arts, right? And we're at less than 1% of the population of the, residents answered 0.5% when you go to the 489. But, it's good feedback. Now, one of the things that I saw is, an objective that we have, and we've done it very well within the city, is to provide access to differently abled residents. And that's always been a key parameter when we're looking at new parks, creating, updating on parks, et cetera, et cetera. But there was a dichotomy here between, the trails are there and people enjoy the trails because they are a steep climb, because they are. So how are we going to, and the Iron Horse Trail obviously is accessible by a wide variety of residents and those that are differently abled. So how are we going to balance that? And is there any regulatory or advisory agency within the state, within the municipality, that puts certain, parameters or percentages of the 78 miles of trail? Is there a regulatory issue that says this percentage of them needs to be available to that, segment of the residents?
Thank you for your question. Typically, no. With recreation trails, there aren't standards that say, 30% of trails need to be ADA accessible, or anything like that. We do have in the document, we have trail construction and maintenance standards in the second chapter, if I'm not mistaken. And they talk about design specifications, so width, appropriate slopes, all of those types of things. And then we certainly, trail planners in general, when we're doing trail alignments, our goal is always going to be, unless it is a trail for fitness purposes, we want it to be as comfortable for all users as possible. So we'll use things like switchbacks to get up steep surfaces, things like that. But I think the intent through the design process would be generally to be as accessible as possible.
Okay, but there's
That's-
no regulatory issue.
There's no regulation that
off-
I'm aware of. Yeah.
Off accessible trails, say, for example, like it is with, buildings, parks, community availability, et cetera, things like that. Okay.
No, there's not. But the best practice is if you can make it accessible, then do.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Because, it said they can be too steep or uneven. And for many of those who use the trails, too steep and uneven is what I'm looking for.
And if I may on this too,
Yeah.
knowing that this would be a concern for the commission and from feedback that we're hearing, that would definitely be something that staff, when we go to actually do the how of it all, we would start asking those questions as well, so that, as those improvements come about, we've asked and answered and kind of got that. So
Cool. Thank you.
And I think the other thing to point out is there are a lot of trails within Doherty Valley, or even on the west side of the city that are paved. Whether that's around the lake, whether that's HOA type trails. There are trails along the east and west Alamo Creek trails that are paved. They're 8 feet wide. There's Iron Horse Trail. So obviously there's a lot of trails already that are accessible. And we are, as one of the goals is to speak with the GAD manager and potentially within the Alamo Creek beds that have access roads or maintenance roads to actually open those up during dry months so that those would be even more additionally paved roads throughout the Doherty Valley.
Yeah, I just wanted to know if there was any kind of, as I said, regulatory or, governmental, municipal advisories that we needed to adhere to. Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions? Okay, just Commissioner Koenig.
Thank you.
You are up.
Chair Breed. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome, buddy.
Thanks, you guys. The report's amazing. It's super dense, hard to get through, but wow, it's incredible. I'm wondering what Iron Horse Trail in particular, is there anything that conflicts with any of our other partners like East Bay Regional Parks or Town of Danville or anything like that? Do they have other plans for the Iron Horse Trail that conflict with what's in this report?
There are certainly other plans for the Iron Horse Trail. Like I said, we started out our kind of planning process by looking at those previous plans, and everything that we felt was appropriate to include in the Trails Master Plan, we just carried forward those previous recommendations, because all of that is really great work. And yeah.
And we also did speak and bring them to the table so that they were a part of this process as well.
And I assume we'll continue to do that, right? East Bay Regional in particular.
Right. East Bay, sorry.
No, finish.
So
please.
East Bay Regional Parks has goals. The county has an actual plan for the Iron Horse Trail corridor, whether that is double tracking it, future transportation corridors, and all of that. There is a section in the plan that shows how all of the goals overlap with the other plans. So nothing will contradict it. If anything, it complements it, and we know who to work with for those certain goals.
Because there are certain things within city limits that it's just within our jurisdiction, right? We can do. I mean, I know that, Rotary clubs, we put up shade structures and benches along the Iron Horse Trail. I mean, I'm sure that there are certain things that we can do, but I would assume widening of the trail might be something that we want to partner with.
Well, and I think it's important to point out, as much as we're all collaborating and as great as that is, there are some elements that are out of our control. Like there's a power line that runs along the Iron Horse Trail that PG&E is very vocal in regards to what can go under that power line because it's their property. There's also a gas line that runs underneath it. So as much as we're all on the same page to collaborate and make the trail what we all want it to be like, there are some restrictions that we have to understand and deal with and work around that are elements that need to be respected as we go through that process. So, and I think that goes to the housing. As much as we may want to access point at blank, that's private property. So you got to work with the developers. So there's a collaboration going on all ends. Sorry, I didn't want to belabor that, but I did want to point out that it's not all under our jurisdiction.
Yeah, for sure.
Right, and there are, I mean, throughout the document, throughout the recommendations, there are several of these goals that are not our jurisdiction. A lot of them are East Bay Regional Parks. Some of them are Town of Danville. Some of them are City of Dublin. For instance, the B7, a connection to Tassajara Ridge leading to Dublin. That's great if we put a trailhead there, or we have one, and put up a sign that says, "Hey, Dublin that way."
Right.
But if Dublin doesn't put the trail in, or I should actually say East Bay Regional Parks doesn't create the trail first, there's no point in us doing a signage at that point, right? So some of them are going to have to wait. Now we can highly encourage them. We can always keep their feet to the fire and keep asking them questions as to timing of things. But there are going to be some that are solely up to other agencies to complete.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. I bring that up just because it's so central to what we do, who we are, commuting, everything. Now with e-bikes and all that stuff, I mean, people are using it in droves and droves. So, and then just real quick, is the plan to, once it's adopted, to come back to this group once a year then with progress updates, or?
We don't have the actual timing of that, but I think that we do, as we look at the calendar for the year, it probably would be a good idea to give, this and a master plan kind of update, just saying, hey, here's where we're at. And it could be something that you may get throughout the year throughout the director's report too, if something comes up. So you may get some of those quicker than just once a year.
Got it. Again.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, additional questions on this side? Go ahead, Commissioner Shetty.
All right, couple more questions, and this is just for my information. One of the recommendation was saying that managing cattle grazing when we to limit so that the trail within the trail phase, right? So I'm just guessing there may be a current lease, long-term lease for that grazing, and limiting means what? Then we need to put the fence, and will that cost us money, or?
Yeah, so we have an example in the document that I don't know a ton about this technology, but they have fenceless system.
Oh, wow, virtual.
Yeah, where they have, it's some kind of,
Okay.
I don't know if there's a shock. I don't know how it works.
Oh,
But
okay.
it stops the cattle from crossing certain boundaries, but without having, ugly fencing everywhere that ruins those gorgeous rolling hills and.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
And so that would then benefit the public by keeping the cows from the constant footprints in the trails.
That's right.
After heavy rains, we could fence them off, virtually fence them off from the trails and keep them in certain sections of the open space.
Sure.
That's what that is referring to.
Thank you. Yeah. That sounds great. One more thing is, I think it's there in the survey also, conflict of people who are walking with e-bikers and scooters. And I have personally seen, especially young kids zooming through. And so are we planning any rules around that? Or if we are talking about expanding or widening, will there be a kind of lane? Because it may, in the future, it may cause some accident, I think.
Right. So right now, we do have a speed limit on all of our trails. I believe it's 15 miles an hour. It duplicates what East Bay Regional Parks has.
I see.
In working with our police department, they are taking a more educational approach to an enforcement approach to it. I think on our trails, it's the same thing. We educate them. We do have rules on the trails until we have the ability to enforce those. I'm not sure what developing further rules and putting them out there is going to do at this point, because the rules currently exist for the trails.
Okay, yeah, because I have seen they're zooming through. And the last one, I do remember during our workshop, one of the priorities what we listed is having the trail around the park to make it all season. I have not seen at least the pilot project on that. Is it that didn't make it to the cut?
I think so. The goal of the commission was, when we went over the goals for the year, was interconnectivity, really. So kind of taking a look at loops and paths and things like that. And I would say, if it's not outright in the document, we do know that's part of the master plan. That's part of the things that you've all wanted in the past. So we will always continue to look for opportunities. Some of that loopage may be a trail connection. So it's a lot of different ways. So it's in there. It just might not be called out specifically, hey, this is to connect a loop. But I believe it's captured in there overall.
Thank you.
Any additional questions over here? Any more over here? We're good? Okay. I have a couple questions, and then we'll do public comment and comments. So first of all, thanks for your time. Appreciate it. Hey, Keith, how much did we pay for this study?
The budget for it was $125,000.
125? Okay, that the city paid for the study. Okay, cool. And then as we look at this study, and I read about the parking impact, I was just trying to understand parking impact. So when we say we're gonna have new trailheads, do we look at what the parking impact would be around those trailheads, and the ones we're recommending, we're okay from a parking standpoint from the communities where that new trailhead would be?
So the trailheads and the proposed trailheads have existing parking lots.
I don't know if I'm being real clear on my question. We've had complaints on, hey, people are parking for trailheads. So as we plan trailheads in the future, are we making sure there's plenty of parking based on what the needs are from other trailheads? There's gonna be plenty of parking that won't interfere with the neighborhood as we recommend trailheads.
That for sure can be taken into account. Yes.
Okay, because that's okay, cool. I just want to build on Commissioner Koenig's question, because I struggle on Iron Horse Trail. Can you educate me on what the city owns? As let's say you and I are standing out under the bridge on Iron Horse Trail, and you say, Steve, this is what the city can influence. This is what the county or East Bay owns. Can you educate us on that, or educate me really quick on who owns what on the Iron Horse Trail?
Rather than assuming, I'm going to pass this to Brad, because I believe, oh no, he has the same.
Well, I'm going to do my best, but I would ask, don't quote me, and we can get you the official answer in maybe an activity report update next. But my understanding is it's all county property.
Okay.
That runs along the Iron Horse Trail. And East Bay Regional Park District has the rights to oversee the trail from a program perspective. And they're getting that from the county. And then, like I said, PG&E has this is where it gets tricky. So the Iron Horse Trail, for the majority of the Iron Horse Trail, is county property from a distance, and then city property from the outside of that. And I believe it's the trail and 6 feet to each side, for example. And then that's city property, depending on where it is, or private property or whatever. However, where it gets tricky within the city of San Ramon that maybe other agencies don't have to work with is there's PG&E property that runs right next to that, both from the gas line and from the power lines up above. And that's where it gets a little gray, especially in our downtown core, because that's where the overlap is. And I do not have the exact dimensions of which is which.
Yeah, the only reason I'm asking, Brad, is because some of the I just want to make sure the recommendations we're having on Iron Horse Trail, we actually can do as a city. I'm sure they looked at that, but I just like,
Just to, yeah, and just to be really clear, like the Iron Horse Trail, the city, that's not city property. The Iron Horse Trail is county property that East Bay Regional Parks manages up until like, like I said, 12 feet on each side, then you get to either city or private property entities on that.
Yeah.
And that's,
hang on.
sorry.
Say any project we do, we'll have to work with the county and East Bay Regional Parks.
Okay, I just wanted to make, and you answered this with Commissioner Koenig's, but we've shared this with East Bay Parks and also the East Bay.
Right.
Okay, and the county on this report, got their feedback on this report. Okay, cool, thank you. I just want to make sure I got that, and hang on, Will, I'll come right to you.
Well, I was gonna expound on that answer.
I got it, I'm good, I got their answer. I'm super good. Okay, thank you so much. Hey, when we're recommending trails in here, and by the way, I like to hold the, yeah, it's a great job with that. Do we recommend or do we provide the reader or future readers what we think the estimated maintenance costs would be as we put in new trails? So, because I like the whole grid you have in there, the cost, and I know costs are going to change, but it actually gives council, I think the council good direction. But I think it'd also be helpful to say, hey, here's what I think the maintenance cost would be in today's dollars, right? So as we put in new trails and
So I
stuff.
believe in the matrix that we have,
My next question, because I didn't get the matrix that much, so yeah, go ahead.
gotcha, it's in the final column. There's the project cost.
Yeah,
And then the furthest column on the right is the operational and staffing implications. And that is, for instance, on page 19, recommendation B3, which is a trail connection to Los Trompos. It's $1,000 per mile of dirt trail yearly.
so where it says operation and staffing implication, that would be, that's like maintenance costs. I got it. It's just terminology I didn't get. So that's super helpful. They explain that. Thanks. I totally get it. Perfect. And then I know we're kind of in process with this master plan trail, but we have a lot of building going on with the planning commission. Are we trying to influence where, like, whether it's orchards or stuff that's being in, where we're trying to influence anything that would affect the trails as stuff's going on, even though this hasn't approved yet?
Planning is aware of this plan. They've provided feedback.
Yeah.
And so we would hope they would take this into account when speaking with developers and their layouts of their projects.
Perfect. Okay, that makes total sense to me. Okay, I think that's it. I didn't get it when I read it. Dirt to dirt connection. So I'm going to tell you what I think it is. Is that like if I have two trails, they're connected by a land of dirt? Okay, that's all that means. Okay, cool. I didn't see it in my glossary of terms, so yeah, okay. Thanks, that was super helpful. Okay, so we've gotten all the questions. Is there any public comment, Kathy?
There's not.
Okay, there's no public comment, so next we'll go to commission comments, and then we'll call for a vote. So is there any commissioner comments? This side, I'll go first, nothing over here, gentlemen. Commissioner Oslin.
I love the plan. I've worked with Design Workshop on several of these, and our Parks Master Plan, our Walking District, and now this. And I've tried to hit every single meeting you guys have had, and you've done a bang-up job of gathering all the information, and it's very, very thorough. Some comments that I have in reading it from beginning to end. This is actually the first time that I've had it, because we did get a copy, but there were some issues with the PDF and we weren't able to read it. So this is like my first time to sit down with it and really digest it word for word. And one thing that really kind of struck me, it felt really long. And I felt that there was some redundancy in the document. So I talked to Director Perez Alonso before the meeting because I wanted to find out, is this good feedback? And I was told to go ahead and share it. One thing that I've used as my guide was our parks plan, this one.
Parks, trails, open space, yeah.
This is what I used as my model. I like it. I'm used to it. It's my lack of a better word, my favorite resource when I'm coming to this meeting. And I really like how that's organized. And I feel like we need to take those gems that are right there in front of us and transpose them into this document. So in reading it, we call it an executive summary. We call it a plan summary in our parks master plan. I like background. It kind of sets the stage, right? Who did we talk to? Where did we go? How did we get all of our information? So looking at community engagement summary, which is kind of at the end of this, bringing that up, previous planning efforts, field review, just like set the stage for us as readers, and especially given the fact that it's going to be used not only for staff internally, but it will be a document that perhaps our residents may want to take a look at. And so when it's, to me personally, if it's organized like that, it's kind of telling me, it's walking me through the story. In the executive summary that we currently have, we have all the projects listed. I think personally, I would like to keep that kind of high level, just really talking about, maybe some examples of the projects, but not listing them all, because when you turn the page to go into recommendations, it's the same thing repeated. So that would be a recommendation that I would have on the front end of the document. Prioritization criteria, I felt that was needed after previous plan alignment and in between and above funding opportunities. Kind of really explain to us why it's prioritized this way. And then it makes sense, like with the funding, it kind of like dovetails. Let's see, what else do I have? The comparable communities, do we need all of them? Maybe one or two? There's 3 currently. I feel like it's a lot to read, and is anyone really going to read it? Maybe picking the one that's most relevant. The management area case, it says study, but there's 2. So if we're going to use them both, let's say studies. But again, same recommendation. Let's try to reduce the amount of things we have to read. The matrix itself, with all the projects, with their prioritization, and the columns with the finance piece of it. In our Parks Master Plan, we also have a column called metrics. And I guess that's maybe a question either for Keith or for Director Prezalonzo or Brad about how did we come up with those metrics in our master plan for our projects? Because we have a column that is filled in for metrics. And maybe that's not a fair question to ask right now, but I'm feeling like that kind of gives us something, like we are looking for this, and that's going to tell us it's moving forward.
If I may, just to clarify that particular comment, and I think that, again, in general, the plan, and thank you for the comments and kind of I think what I'm hearing is the flow. The flow. So we want us to take a peek at the flow one more time to ensure that it's going in there. And if there's any really redundant information, we probably should scale back on that. And if we're going to highlight it, say in the executive summary, it shouldn't be so in depth, because it'll be highlighted more in depth later, potentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then as far as a metrics, I think there, again, if it's a list of how we're going to get it done and when we get it done kind of metrics, I don't know if that's, I'm trying to really understand what, at the end of the day, what do you want that to be? So it's supposed to be a checkbox that we look at? I just want to make sure that we have some good understanding of what it could be.
Yeah, so the one I just opened up to, it's about shade, increasing shade along the trail. So funny that I would pick that one, but it says the metric is 50% shade coverage of trail during the summer.
So yeah, so I think with the master plan, you have a more in-depth look at what you're going on. With the trails master plan, we're not sure what that metrics is going to be quite yet, because we don't know what it may entail. Hey, we want to do this on the Iron Horse Trail.
Mm.
And to tell you that we're going to get at least this much done on this section might not be the right thing to do for a metrics at that moment, because there's a lot more involved with county, with East Bay Regional Park. So I'm not sure that it would work the same that it does with the master plan, but it's definitely something that when we come back to you with certain things, we'll say, hey, we want to recognize that this is the goal. So in the end, when we do this project, the goal is to have this many signs, this type of thing, potentially parking, all those things. So I think it might work in ensuring that we, in our report back, that those things are covered, and that we need to anticipate that question coming, I think, from you as well. But I'm not sure it fits all the way in this document.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I get it. I think the only other thing that caught my eye was the imagery. I love the images. I'd really like to keep them our community images. I noticed there's quite a few, not quite a few, but there are some that are from other areas. And I like them with the captions like you've done. I think that's fabulous, because I think when we're looking at it, I'm familiar because I've been on the Open Space Advisory Committee, and I've gone to all these meetings with Kevin and Keith and Brad, and we, so I'm very familiar what I'm looking at, but not everyone will be. And I think it's very helpful to have those labeled and to keep it within our community. Unless it's an example of, management area case study, then we're going to look at their pictures. But I'd really like to keep them our local pictures. If we need to get more, let's get more.
Sure.
Yeah. So overall, very nice work. If this is a big, big project, I'm very impressed with how you guys have pulled this all together. Maybe reorganizing it, streamlining it, thinking about the userability of it would be my recommendations. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any more additional comments on this side? Go.
Thanks once again, and
Daddy.
very detailed plan, a lot of projects. This is just as a comment. I'm pretty sure the city council will use their judgment and prudence. My only concern is, of course, all these parks and trails are San Ramon jewels, and that's why we all got attracted. In the long-term maintenance wise, feasibility. So I'm hoping, and I'm sure you will do the detailed plan, unless there's a long-term cash flow and money for maintenance coming. I would rather not start the major project, so that we don't have to leave it in half a way or long-term maintenance wise. That's the only comment I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chani. Go ahead. Vice Chair Levy.
Sure. Yeah, I think we've given a lot of feedback here tonight. I think this plan is incredibly impressive, and I think it's actually incredibly important for the city to adopt. Particularly with all the change going on right now in the city core, showing that the city really wants to optimize its open spaces and trail system, I think is a crucial thing to communicate to residents. I think it helps reassure them a little bit about the future, and it helps cement San Ramon's identity as a place that prioritizes walking and recreation above all else. And I think a master plan like this is really the only way the only way to get there. So I think conceptually this is an incredible idea. I would echo actually what Commissioner Shetty just said in terms of once this plan reaches adoption, starts getting used as a basis for projects, I think it's important to get some wins on the board early, and so maybe prioritizing the low-hanging fruit first, just to get something accomplished from it to demonstrate to the residents, I think would be a good strategy to help build support for the stuff that's going to be harder or more long-term down the road. And then lastly, the reason why I asked during my questions about the intended audience for this report is I think if it's intended to serve both audiences, both internal for staff and decision makers, but also the public, I think it needs to be geared towards readability by the public's part, because staff can always, figure out the technicalities and do the deep dives and stuff. But in order to tell the story to the public about the background, how we got here, where we're going, why it's important, I think Commissioner Ozen's feedback about the flow of it is crucial because that's the part that would make this actually readable and digestible by the general public. So I would strongly urge staff to take a hard look at the flow and make sure that it flows for a general member of the public who maybe doesn't have the background knowledge or experience with these issues that we do before just sort of, stamping it as done and putting it into emotion. I really think it should be geared. You don't need to change the content or anything necessarily. I think it's really just sort of rearranging what's already here and making it more flow better, I think is crucial. So I would definitely support Commissioner Oslin's feedback in that department. And those are my feedback.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Libby. Any additional feedback over here? Okay, I'm gonna give you my feedback. First of all, thanks so much. This has really been cool to see this evolve. And as you think about the importance of, and I think Vice Chair Levy touched on the point about how trails can differentiate the city. And I think, and even as you're thinking about discovering San Ramon, what can we really invite people to come do? We have amazing trails, and how do we communicate this? This only helps us create a point of differentiation. So a couple of things on my notes. First of all, I loved your report. I love that you talked about, hey, here's some potential sources to get money, and I think that's going to be important to the council. I think it's important. It's easy for the council to read. I would change the maintenance box to simplify the terminology so people, who aren't as involved and simplified. I would just use more simplified terminology in there. I echo Vice Chair Levy and Commissioner Oslin's comments. I won't get on that because they already covered it for me. But I just want to let you know there's 3 heads nodding on that one as we talk about it. And then, the other thing is I'm very into accountability. So we spend $125,000 as a city to do this. I think Director Perzano mentioned earlier, but we need to review this every year, and it's not an option. So this needs to come in front of the committee, even if we don't do anything. I think we need to see these master plans and say, here's what we're doing, here's what we've done to make them come to life. And we do it already for the main master plan. So maybe we just incorporate one meeting and go through all the master plans and, give an update. That way it's more, not for us, but it's more for the city, for the citizens. So especially when we're making this type of investment and we think this is such a point of differentiation. So I want to be really clear with this. My opinion is we need to make this every year, drive accountability. I know Commissioner Koenig mentioned it, but it's massively important to me. And then what's the last thing? Hey, in the executive summary, I love the prioritization page. So how do we make the reader understand as we think about it's going to council? If council said, hey, what can we do? And Vice Chair Levy said, what? Immediate scores, or what'd you say, immediate scores or big scores or something on the scoreboard? Anyway, whatever. So the point is that we list, you listed on our presentation and say, hey, here's our priorities, like immediate priorities. If you want to go do something, whether it's, when I looked at the report, I'm like, well, we need to put some trails on the west side because it looks like there's not a lot of trails over there, but we had the Forest Home Farms in there. You talked about Senior Center to Old Ranch, but I would put that more in the executive summary because it's more of an action. Hey, if you want to do something, here's what we recommend immediately. And that way the councils can say, okay, what can do? Because the grid you put together, which is excellent, it's just a massive read, and it's not really saying what our priorities are. So, and I thought when I talked to Director Perzano, he mentioned, hey, with his executive summary, which I agree with, I think it's really good up front, and I'm with him, but how do we tighten it up a little bit? Hey, here's what this is. Here's what we're recommending. Here's how it's, I just tightened it up a little bit more. So once again, it's good, but we just need to kind of I'd like to tell the council, hey, if you want to get some early wins, here's what we'd like to go do, right? And that way they had some guidance if they have extra cash, and it's easy for them to make a decision. So, yeah, I just want to reinforce, I know this is super hard work. I think I was thrilled with that grid, the pricing grid. And as long as we put in today's dollars, I might say in today's dollars, just in case and I put the year in the grid so people know, because I thought some consultants kind of push back and say, boy, the dollars, but if we footnote it saying, hey, it can change, inflation, CPI, whatever that may be. So that way everyone's a little more comfortable putting that stuff in. I thought that's one thing I might add in there to make it a little bit easier. So, hey, thanks for doing it because you took our feedback and I really appreciate it. So I thought the report looked good with their comments that they said earlier. Okay. So we covered everything. And just one more, I guess we covered the comments. Go ahead.
Is there value in taking one more, giving Design Workshop a chance to do these edits and let us see it one more time before it goes to city council?
Because tonight, that's a point. So there's two things that have been asked. One is that the Parks Commission review it, provide feedback, and then make a motion to go to city council. That's what one thing. But Julius brought up a point is, hey, do we want to see it again? So
It's the similar process that we did with our Parks Master Plan. We had several versions that came back, we made recommendations, and then we were able to see it again.
okay. Well, I see you, Will. I'm sorry, Commissioner Dorlick, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. We're on.
Yeah, I just remembered.
Well, if we're going to talk about formatting and,
It's not formatting,
things like
it's
that.
content.
Well, no,
No, go ahead, Will. You're
but I was
good.
going to bring this up after the meeting, but there was a real disconnect between the presentation and the material, as far as what the flow was. So if we're going to change things in that manner, that would be more important to me than changing this. It's how do you sync up the presentation with the materials that's presented? I mean, because I was sitting here flipping through trying to figure out, okay, where are we? The
Right.
presentation was totally different than the, material that we were given as far as formatting, as far as alignment, as far as how it was presented. So I think the report is the report. That's great. But if you're going to present it in the city council, that needs to be, really synced up. So we're not sitting here, trying to flip through 107 pages to see where we're at. And there was even discrepancy between the presentation and the presentation on the pages. Because that metrics with the, number of, staff meetings, et cetera, 824, responses, et cetera, that was on a totally different page than was presented here. So there was no synchronization between what was presented on the screens and what was presented as far as the formatting goes.
Any just more comments, Commissioner Dorlick?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you so much. So here's where we're at is that Commissioner Osmond said, hey, might want to reformat it, come back. We could say, we could vote with and move it forward with an addendum on what needs to be changed, but it's up to the commission what you want to go do. So right now.
I think the content is fine,
Mhm.
and that's what we're looking at, but.
I think there were a lot of questions that came up from our group that about, well, what does that mean and what does that mean? And, we're pretty familiar with it. And I think if we're going to present it to the city council, I think it needs to be called out, needs to be obvious. What do these timeframes mean? 0 to 5 years, 6 to 11. We need it to be like out there in a box. And personally, I mean, I trust you guys. You've worked with us a lot, so I know you know how to do this. But is there value in us having to see it one more time to align it with a simple presentation so that it goes on to the next level, so that there is no ambiguity?
Let me ask you a quick question. Director Perizano, just heads up, coming your way. Is there a timeline that we need to get this done by from a Parks and Community Services committee, or any advice you would provide us on Julia's point?
I
I'm
would
sorry,
say, I
Commissioner
would say that the commission as a whole, if this is what you would like to do is to bring it back, then that's all you need to let us know.
Okay, cool. Okay, I just want to make sure wasn't any commitments up the line that we're trying to go meet.
I mean, we're always trying to ensure that we move intentionally. And I think that the two options that I'm hearing is that one, you could approve it with knowing that the flow and recommendations that we hear tonight would be included and looked at prior to going to the council. Or you say that, we'd like to bring it back.
Okay, thank you, Director Pezzolano.
Yeah, so I think based on what Henry just said, if there is no pressing urgency, I would rather have it bring back, clean it up so that we are very well synced that what is going to be presented to city council, and we're very comfortable with that.
Okay,
Right.
so just kind of getting a sense of where all the other commissioners aren't coming back.
If I may, just one little note.
Yeah.
Chances are anything that comes back will be delivered by staff. I don't know that the consultants will be able to be back, on that.
I think
That's fine.
That's okay.
Okay, so, do we need a motion to say, come back, that they come back and represent it by a certain time period? Or are we just saying come back when it's ready? But,
I think
Put a time frame in it.
I think at this point, we will take the time that if the direction of the commission is, we want it back. And I think at this point, it would be multiple heads nodding, which I believe that I've seen. That is all we'll need to do, for this. That
Okay.
It'll note in the minutes that the commission, pushed it back to staff for adjustments and, looking at the flow to come back to them one more time to review.
okay. You guys head nods over here. I just want to make sure. Okay. Go ahead, Terry. Sorry, Mr. Koenig.
I was just gonna say, I think it would be super helpful if there was a way for us to just kind of condense this down into something that's kind of worthy of public consumption that, like, that's my experience with an executive summary, or what Julia called a plan summary, is that's something that you can easily extract and say, look, public, here's what it is in Reader's Digest version. I would be satisfied with something like that kind of just, really kind of bullets and summarizes all of the highlights and stuff without getting too far into the weeds. Because I think ultimately that's what we want and need to have is something that the public can easily read and digest. And so maybe it's maybe it's the Reader's Digest version. I don't know, but it's
So, hey, Keith, are you clear on what the ask is? I just want to make sure we're clear on what the ask is.
Currently, based on what Commissioner Caney just said, no. I'm
Okay.
not
What I was worried about,
clear
yeah.
because I'm getting Reader's Digest suggestion versus make it look like the Parks Master Plan.
Sure. And that's why I asked the question.
No,
probably.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah, actually, yeah, Commissioner Dora, go ahead.
I mean, I'm hearing all that feedback. I mean, I'm okay with the report as it's presented here. I just wasn't okay with the way that it was presented in the meeting. So in other words, I think the content and, all this is okay, but the presentation was very different than this, and there wasn't synchronization between that. So the version that you might be looking for might be the presentation that we saw, because it was only about 10 pages long as opposed to 107. And it was a synthesis of the material. So maybe if we just review what that presentation was, because it was extracting, what was a high level and presenting it, it just wasn't syncing up with what we had on our, in our package.
So if I may, I think for staff, what we heard is we're going to take a look at the Trails Master Plan document. We're going to look at the flow of the document to ensure that it includes what it needs to, that ensure that that for a reader's sake, that it makes some sense. And what I like to call that the Henry version, because if I don't understand it, we shouldn't be putting it out there. So we will take a look at that to ensure that's in there. Again, looking at any redundancies that may not necessarily need to be there because it's already covered within the chapters. We will take a look at that for flow. When we come back and we present this again, we will have that connect and flow for you as well.
And what Will said with the presentation. Are you good with that?
Yes.
Commissioner Oslin? Commissioner Chetty, I haven't even looked. Are you good with everything we've talked about?
Personally, I don't mind approving it today because there is no major feedback. It's all cosmetic and alignment. If we have assurance from the team that, we can review it offline before giving it to the city, but looks like majority of the commissioner want to see, so I'll go with that flow. Thank
Okay.
you.
So, so here's what we'll do as next steps. You've heard the feedback, and Director Perez Alonso recapped everything, what we're trying to do, but I would reinforce what Commissioner Dorlick said on the present. I would totally agree with what he said on kind of linking them together. So those are the two to-dos. So I guess we're good. I guess we're done,
Gotcha.
right?
Okay.
Good, good.
Thank you.
By the way, thank you. Thanks for being open to feedback too.
Yeah, thank you, Keith.
Okay,
Thank you,
thanks.
Emily.
We're good. All right. Thanks. We are on, hang on, let me just get back to my agenda because I just really into the conversation. We're going into the Arts Advisory Committee recommendations. Let me get into that really quick. I don't know who interviewed for Arts Advisory, but anyway, so here's who did the interviews? Okay, well, hang on, I'm gonna ask you to do something. Okay, so the recommendation, it's recommended that the Parks and Community Service Commission forward to the council recommendation to appoint, oh, that's the library, my bad. I was one ahead. Sorry about that. I'm not sure Cindy wanted to go to Arts
Library
Advisory.
first. It's okay.
I know. All right, let me try it again. It's recommended that the Parks and Community Service Commission forward to the city council the recommendation to appoint Robert Bickle, Andre Nguyen, Regini Van Chickie as regular members to the Arts Advisory Committee with terms expiring 2028 with Diana Levy to serve as the alternate member with a term of March 2028. So what I like to try and do is go to those who interviewed, provide any feedback before we open it up for questions. So do you two have any feedback on who you're recommending?
Yeah, I mean, I and Will interviewed them and we both agreed on that. We met before and during and after. I think we have two returning members. So which was, and we did talk to them and they're very deserving candidates to come back in. So that was very easy decisions on that. All the other, we did another 2 interviews. Out of that, we wanted to pick Andre Nguyen because we really like, I mean, Will, feel free to add it, but I think we really liked his attitude, his interest, his research. He's really devoted, and that's what we really liked into that. He cares about it, cares about the city arts, cares about the city, how the city looks like, feels like. So that's what on that.
He also has, he was a professional photographer
Yes.
for 20 years.
Yeah.
So he has a connection with the arts community. He was also on former Congressman Honda's staff in the South Bay. And so he understands the working of municipalities and, government, et cetera. So, those 2 things were just very, very impressive, as well as Commissioner
Mitra.
said, he had just a real excellent attitude, as well as he did his research about what the mission of, what the goals of, what the objectives are of the Arts Advisory Committee. So it was clear that he had, took the time and had the attitude of wanting to, research that. So that was really clear. The other 2 people that were returning, as I'm at all the meetings, there's just a great synergy that there hasn't been for a long time, and a dynamic within the Arts Advisory Committee meeting where there's very substantive conversations and, to move things forward. And the other person, Diana, I think it was, she's involved in a lot of other arts areas within the Tri-Valley, but not in San Ramon, where she resides. But the feeling was that she was a little more tactical than strategic, and thought that she could develop that more strategic outlook as an alternate, and be involved in the meetings in that way. So looking at kind of getting her in a mentoring position to have her look at things a little more strategic. But her enthusiasm and her background was superb.
Yep.
Thank you both for providing backgrounds.
Very good.
Do we have any questions? No questions? Any public comment? There's no public comment. Any commissioner comments? Okay, so would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Okay, we gotta go slower. Commissioner Dorlick.
Sorry.
It's all right. Not redeem it. No, Commissioner Dorlick moved that we accept what I read for the appointment of
Robert
Bickle. Go ahead, Will.
Oh, yeah, was it? We have it right here.
Yeah, it's Robert Bickle,
Yeah.
Andre Nguyen.
Diana Ilavi as the alternate, Andre Nguyen as the voting member, and Rajani. I'm
Jody.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking for the name. Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
And we
But
need
sorry.
we need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, Vice Chair Levy seconded. He got it in underneath. Okay,
Under the wire. Under the wire.
under the wire, as would say. Okay, let's go ahead and vote, please. Okay. Okay, pass. Thank you guys so much. Once again, we will say this to everybody, but we really appreciate everyone who applied for all our committees. We're very thankful for that. And thanks again for Commissioner Mitra and Commissioner Drolick for the interviewing. Okay, Library Advisory Committee. Okay. Recommendation is recommended that the Parks and Community Service Commission forward to the City Council the recommendation to appoint Cindy Albert and Dan Shim as regular members of the Library Arts Committee with terms expiring March of 2028. Who did the interviews here?
That was myself and Commissioner Shetty.
Okay. Any comments you want to share?
Commissioner Shetty, would you like to give any comments about the process?
Yeah, there are two positions and two candidates. I was asking Commissioner Levy, do we need to really interview? But then he guided me in a good way that, we need to know even if the two candidates, whether they truly deserve. And this is my first time taking interview, but I really enjoyed it. And both the candidates, in my opinion, they bring a unique perspective. One is has been serving for many years, other one is new, but I think they'll be a great asset to the team.
Great. Thank you, Andy. Thank you so much. Commissioner Vice Chair Levy, with anything else to add?
No, nothing to add to that. I agree.
Okay, any questions? No questions, any public comment? No public comment. Any comments from the commissioners? No comments. Would someone like to make a motion?
Sure, I'll move that we accept the two candidates, Daniel Shim and Cindy Albert, for the continuing terms on the Library Advisory Committee.
There's a second, Commissioner Shetty, second. Kathy, did you get all that? I just want to make sure I'm going slow enough. Okay, please vote. Well, the votes being tabulated. Thank you, Vice Chair Levy and Commissioner Shetty for doing the interviews. We appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for applying. Okay, it passed 7-0. We are on to the Senior Advisory Committee. Let me jump to that really quick. Okay. It is recommended that Parks and Community Service Commission forward to the City Council the recommendation to appoint Sholette Clark, Wajim Khan, Noreen Rohurst to serve as regular members of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committees with terms expiring 2028. The Parks and Sherry Muller and Don Downey serve as, that didn't make sense, but anyways, the Parks and Sherry Muller and Don Downey serve as alternate members with terms expiring 2027 and 2028 respectively. So I know Commissioner Vice Chair Levy and Commissioner Koenig did interviews. You guys want to share anything before we discuss?
Commissioner Kaney, would you like, I could do it or you could do it.
Yeah, I'll just say that Commissioner Levy and I think we're lockstep and all completely in agreement with, and the good thing is we had 5 candidates and we had 3 spots to fill and 2 alternates. So it worked out perfectly. The math was great. But Colette Clark is, kind of the mainstay on that committee. She's served as chair at least twice already and knows the ins and outs of the senior center as well as the workings of the committee and stuff. And so there was never a doubt there. The other 2 are new. Wajiha Khan owns her own, she's a licensed family therapist. And I think both her and Noreen were you could just tell that's where their hearts were at. They just really had a passion for wanting to help seniors in our community. Not that the other 2 didn't, because they really did, but I think the other 2 just had a little less experience. So just, yeah.
Great.
Kyle, you want to add?
No, I agree with that. The only thing I'll add is I believe Noreen Rodeners had a very lengthy history of being a volunteer at the senior center already before applying for this committee, which definitely is impressive to Commissioner Keeney and I.
It's awesome. You guys, thank you both for your background. Really appreciate it. Is there any questions? Seeing no questions? Kathy, any public comment?
Public comment.
There's no public comment. Any commissioner comments? There's no commissioner comments. You're not going to guess what I'm about to say next. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move approval as stated in the staff recommendation here.
And I'll second that.
Okay, it's moved by Commissioner Koenig. It's seconded by Commissioner Osland. You got it? Okay. We're going to vote. Okay, and to go through, it passed 7-0. Hey, just at the end, and I want to reinforce, we as a Parks and Community Service Commission can't thank everyone for interviewing, participating in our subcommittees, and we really encourage more citizens to apply and participate. So thank you. All right. We are to Director Perizano's report.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. It's a brief one tonight because I know everyone read cover to cover on our activity report, but just wanted to highlight just a couple of things that have come about that I think are of interest. You all spoke about the Trails Master Plan, so that was a great thing just to know that we're going to be working on that and kind of moving forward on that. We are deep into summer hiring right now, so much so we're doing our summer hiring events, heading out to the different schools and making sure that people are aware that we're out there. I know that we're out there. I got a text from my niece who's a freshman at Cal High and said, I just picked up some information from your work. And I said, great, put your application in and we'll see what happens. So just want to let you know that it works. And that, there are students that are out there that are actually picking up information, then we actually get to hire them and employ them and make them even better citizens than they are right now. A couple other things just to be aware of as well. I'm looking at, you all know that you worked really hard on the co-sponsorship, what we call an athletic facilities co-sponsorship policy was updated and it was received by the council. So that is all, moving forward. We've also had the opportunity to speak to the user groups and just give them the highlights on everything that was going on. They've been a part of it throughout the whole process, but we just wanted to make sure that they got those last minute pieces of information that may impact them moving forward. So we're all set with that. As a result of that, there was one of the newer items that we put in there, which was accepting proposals from different groups for potential field improvements or amenities to the park is what we're calling them right now. We received about 8 of them. Staff right now is in the review process and really trying to determining what is the right pathway for each one of those. Will it become a CIP project? Is it an amenity that we can just move forward quickly on? But right now we're deep into looking at them and trying to see how that's going to play out. We don't anticipate any of those coming to fruition like within the next 2 months. But anything that needs to come to the commission will come to the commission. And again, just wanted to make sure that you were aware that it was kind of a nice little thing that came about of it, and we are working through that. The other thing to note is that if you haven't noticed out in the parks, the fields are open. And that's one of the best times of year, all the opening days, all the uniforms that you're seeing at the different, lunch spots all over. But that's, in a big result of having our parks back open, the fields being able to utilize. So we're excited for all that came down. This last month, it's in the activity report, but I wanted to call it out again. It was our recreation showcase. It was the first time that we actually did an all department-wide display to let people know what we do across the board. So typically, previous years, it's been specifically towards our Camp Central, but it was a good opportunity for us to really showcase the whole department. I thought it went really well for the first year on that. We've already kind of thinking of different ideas of how we can make that a little bit better. So I'm very proud of the staff and what they've done with that one. A few of our staff just returned back this week from going to the California Park and Recreation Society's conference last week, where we got some good learning in, some good networking in to talk to our fellow professionals throughout the state. A couple of things I wanted to highlight around CPRS right now is that we had Adam Chow is now the state board president-elect. So he was elected the year previously. He's in the presidential series, so he just finished his vice president year. Now he's in president-elect, which means, and I tease him, we're a year out before he's the actual president. So come next year at the conference in Sacramento, he will be installed, and then we can call him Mr. President for about a year. So I think that that would be a good thing. And on the same presidential track, there's the statewide board, but then there's our local boards, our district boards. At the district level, we all belong to District 3. And Rhiannon Thomas was just elected and installed as the vice president. So she's going through her presidential series for the district. So it's kind of nice that we've got our folks out there and involved. And I know at the conference, at the statewide conference, we also had an opportunity for May, our beloved Money May, to go out there and give a financial a topic on the finance that really went out there, and it was for as one of the sessions for our professionals. It was fun. It's one of the ones I got to sneak in on, and it was fun to walk in. I didn't know what to expect, but I walked in the door. I thought I was going to, disrupt, but what I saw was a full room, a full ballroom of folks listening to, and I had multiple texts from my colleagues throughout that presentation saying that she did a great job, and I think she had a line of folks talking to her afterwards and really trying to see how we do it, how we work with our sponsors, how we work to find alternative funding sources to put on the things we do. And it was a really, trying to find those, I think it was a Avengers themed, find those infinity stones that we need to do to be able to provide the finances that we do within our department. So it was really good and very well received. And I think that all of us that went got something out of it, and we look forward to bringing that back to not only our staff, but then also as we look at what we can do with our master plans, our trails plans, and all that stuff, and bring these things to fruition based on what we've learned and what we see across the state, and trying to make things better on that end. So that was a great thing for us. Recently, as recent as yesterday, a number of our staff did an internal walkthrough of the Crow Canyon Garden site, specifically the Muds restaurant site, to trying to look at and confirming, what the demolition is going to be coming out, and kind of just doing some extra eyes on it as we provide comments to the consultants as they're kind of really trying to finalize their 100% plans at the end. So really trying to get those last minute comments in there to them. Also, just wanted to give you all a heads up that Heritage Park coming soon, and the soon that I can say is late spring, so it's coming soon, so that's sooner than later, but they do anticipate trying to wrap up some stuff, and hopefully by late spring that will be open and ready to go in use for all folks around here. A couple other last things. We were talking about CPRS. I wanted to highlight Angela Cotton because it was put out in your activity report, but it was so much fun to see her at the District 3 luncheon, and for have her get an award from us for her outstanding volunteer work at the senior center. So we just give her another kudos on that. I think it was great to see her out there, and it's always great for us to be able to highlight those folks that help us in so many different ways. And lastly, just because I'm not sure what you got going on this weekend, but if you're not busy, there's International Day of Forest at Forest Hill Farms on Saturday with the Ronstadt Revival. And if I'm getting all my dates right today, because it is Wednesday, right? So yeah. So and then Saturday, the Ronstadt Revival, again, tribute to Linda Ronstadt, who I remember growing up listening to and loving. So if you haven't gotten your tickets, feel free to go in there and enjoy.
Sunday.
That's the 22nd. So we have the 21st and 22nd. 21st is, and I'm again looking at my calendar. So Sunday is
It's
that.
at 3 p.m. It's an afternoon show.
That I don't have on me. I just know that I haven't gotten my tickets yet. So yes, but that's the sum. That's it for me tonight.
Okay, any comments for Director Pizzano? Nothing? I'm fired up about the terrace, by the way. Putting a canopy over, that's gonna be cool. All right. So well, let's head into commissioner reports. We'll go through commissioner reports and announcements. So we'll start with Commissioner Shetty.
All right. I hope all the commissioner saw our mayor's State of City address. It was awesome. I personally like it. I could not go to attend in person because it was during the office hours, but I did watch it the first opportunity when it was available online. Also attended the 10th of March council meeting virtually because I guess it will go for a long time based on the agenda. Some of the highlights, it is a Red Cross month, the proclamation was provided, but what's noteworthy is Doherty Valley High School Red Cross Club was recognized as one of the largest in the Bay Area with 300 members. It's very inspiring to see all those students. And the thing we should be all proud, Bollinger Canyon Road Bridge recognized as overall project of the year. It got multiple awards, so we can take some credit for that. And city hosted earthquake town hall featuring expert from the Berkeley Seismology Lab. I think it's available online too. And tomorrow at 5 p.m. we have a Spring Business Expo by the Chamber of Commerce. I'm planning to go. Other commissioners are welcome. Main important thing I felt in the last commission meeting was which took a lot of time, master fee schedule and parkland development impact fee. So few highlights from that, as I said, development impact fee and childcare fee for the developers, so that they discuss. And then city maintenance standard of 4.81 acres of parkland for 1,000 resident. And then council voted for the 3-tier deposit system for the appeal to reduce the entry barrier. And they have a public hearing on this master fee schedule on 3/24, the March 24th. And also they recommended new nexus fee studies were approved to ensure development fee remain fair, proportional, and in compliance with the state law. So since I attended online, I was able to take good notes. Oh.
Commissioner Oslin, yeah, I was there. Commissioner Oslin?
Yeah.
No reports from committees, but I'm just going to put a little radio announcement out for the sheep shearing event on April 25th from 10 to 2. It's San Ramon Historic Foundation's big fundraiser. And I'd love to see all you parks commissioners there.
Okay. Vice Chair Levy?
Sure. Okay, so March 3rd planning, planning commission meeting was very efficient. The agenda had essentially 2 items. One was a major subdivision application, including a vesting tentative map for condominium purposes to subdivide an existing property to allow up to 53 individual commercial office condominium units within existing commercial buildings on a 3.72 acre parcel located at 200 and 210 Porter Drive. So it was a pretty routine thing. The Planning Commission asked some really good clarifying questions and then approved. And it's existing. It's going from, I think, 30 units to 53 individual commercial units, but all existing already. And then the other thing was an informational presentation on state housing laws, which was very interesting. And I think it's also beneficial to check out at least that part of the meeting because it also touches on the laws that impose penalties on localities that don't follow the state's housing laws, because the state does not kid around when it wants to ensure that its housing laws are followed. So for anyone out there who says, oh, what could happen if we ignore it? Well, there's some pretty severe penalties, which luckily San Ramon is not in any danger of, but it's always good to know what's out there. So that was planning. And then I will just plug the upcoming San Ramon Library Foundation mega sale, which starts on Thursday, March 26th and continues all through that weekend through Saturday, the 28th, I guess. Yeah, it's great. A lot of really good books. Check it out. Those are my comments.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Levy. Commissioner Mitra.
Hello, Chair. Thank you.
You're welcome, bud. I'd like to wait.
Thanks for checking.
You're welcome.
Okay. Teen council meeting yesterday. It was short one, and there are basically 2 agendas. One was leaders in training, LIT, and teen services and leadership, TSL, 2 programs that city organizes for the different age groups and different numbers of volunteers for different activities. So basically, these are the 2 programs that city offers the local students, middle schooler and high schooler, to go through that and make them become future leaders. And many of them, what I heard, that many of them, major percentage of the city staff are actually gone through this 2 trainings earlier, the locals. So LIT, which is leaders in training, the age group is 13 to 17. There are total 65 volunteers. Again, there's no, what I heard, there is no hard and fast rule about this number, but around that. And then also mayors, city managers, etc., come and give speech. They prepare for interviews, resume preparations, and for the job market preparations. TSL, on the other sense, it's slightly younger kids, which is Teen Services and Leadership, 12 to 16 years, Thursday for 10 weeks. It's a Thursday, each Thursday for 10 weeks during summer. How local government, the main thing they talk about how the local government works, how business is done, guest speakers, different kind of guest speakers, and city officials. And last year, what I heard, 2021, city TSL program got 2 awards, I think from the state or county, and also 2022 they got 2022 they got the state award, and 2021 they got 2 county award. So that was one presentations, and there was one teen council representative presented the 2020 26-27 teen council ad hoc wellness committee recommendations and the report. So that was the second one presented on that. That is it.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Baker. Commissioner Dorlick,
Yes, sir.
would you like to share anything?
I certainly would. First, I'd like to share on a comment of Commissioner Levy. If you want some feedback on how serious the state is regarding housing numbers, I'll refer you to the city of Pleasanton. The Arts Advisory Committee, under the leadership of President-elect Chow, last time we discussed, remember the utility box project from,
Yes.
didn't it seem just like yesterday?
Yeah.
It was 2019. And several of the implementations are starting to fade. There's 3 in particular that were targeted. And so the discussion and conversation was around how to, amend those. Is it just paint over them? Is it, some of the painting has faded, some of the colors had faded. So there was a pretty lively discussion around that. And then also, is it a program that we'd want to expand upon and renew perhaps in other areas? If you remember, it was particularly around San Ramon Valley Boulevard, and I think Crow Canyon, around Twin Creeks area, and et cetera. Is there other areas? Because, it's all in the utility boxes, basically the traffic, boxes that the city owns. Other utility boxes are not owned by the city. So, but there's still 137 or something that are out there, something like pretty high number. So there was a conversation there too. So we're going to review that again, and because it's difficult to refresh them rather than just cover them up. And then we discussed an updated cultural growth program. If you're familiar, if you remember, the cultural growth program is both to provide a safety net for community presentations to cover the theater expenses, not any other expenses, but the theater expenses. And then also, that's about 20% of the program. About 80% of the program is regarding updating equipment and technology within the theaters, both the Dougherty Valley Performing Arts Center as well as the Front Row Theater. So there was this discussion regarding renaming the program, as well as how to allocate the funds and, et cetera, for that. So those were the 2 major topics of conversation at the Arts Advisory Committee meeting.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Dorlick. Commissioner Koenig?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No committee reports, but I'm sort of looking forward to our teen council interviews. Thank you for sending along 8,500 teens to us. I don't know how many there are.
42.
There's a lot.
42.
There's a lot.
42.
Yes.
Hey, what's tomorrow night, Terry?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. So, and I also wanted to just echo what Commissioner what Vasant had said about thank you for supporting the all who attended the town hall on the earthquake swarms. We had 300 people there. It was like standing room only almost, and got a ton of media attention. It was terrific. It was seismic, actually. And as well as State of the City. So the Chamber Star really shone brightly those last two events. So, and tomorrow night, as Commissioner, as Chair Breed mentioned, we have the Business Expo at Bridges from 5 to 7. If you can, there's also a workshop entitled Branding Your Business and Yourself. So if you are a business owner or plan to be one, or just want to brand yourself, please come to that at 5 o'clock. Actually, we're hoping to fill the room for that one. So
Who's presenting?
there are two chamber members, Casey Stanley and Anuja, and I can't remember her last name, but they're both terrific. And so yeah, if you can make it, come as my guest, please. And I just wanted to also give a shout. Oh, and also thank you, Kathy, for setting up those teen council interviews,
Yes.
because that was a labor of, it was a labor. I'll just say that, because trying to get us all synchronized was a lot. So thank you for getting all that organized. It was no small feat. And I also just wanted to mention, I guess it's probably okay to mention the beer garden, is it? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So I'll be chairing the our Rotary clubs. We usually do the beer and wine booths at the Art and Wind Festival, and this year there's going to be a beer garden. It's going to be super cool. Yeah, so a big tented area
Ask us
near the Chevron. Is it the Chevron stage? Red, is it the Chevron stage? Right, the one on the one near the tennis courts.
Call it
the main stage.
main stage next to the tennis.
Main stage next to the tennis courts, and
Yeah, we
there's
can
going to be a
Chevron.
big beer garden attached to that. So we're excited to be a part of that once again. It's San Ramon's signature event, and I think it's already kicking off really well. So good stuff happening all around.
What about your Lederhosen?
Lederhosen.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Commissioner.
Wrong event.
Commissioner Koenig, I'm sorry. So, Commissioner, I also attended the city council meeting. So, Commissioner Shetty covered most of it. But what I would tell you is, March is Red Cross Month, just for everyone to know. And the other thing is the CPI, which I thought was super interesting, that we're basing our fees off of. And I want to guess, what do you think it is? 2.82%. I thought it was so much higher. I had to ask ChatGPT to double check, right? So, anyways, the big thing, and in those fees were the park fee too, but the big thing that the council spent a lot of time was the appeals fee from the planning commission. So it's very interesting to see where they're going to land on it. So, anyways, the rest of it was highlighted, but it was quite the meeting, and I thought it was super informative. Okay, that is it for my report. I think we're done. So we are going to adjourn at, where's my phone?
2111.
What time?
2111.
We're adjourning at 9:11. Perfect. Okay, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you, bud.